So 2026 is right around the corner, and people are probably already thinking about their New Year's resolution, what they want to accomplish, and make sure that the next year is the best possible in terms of their overall well-being, their mental health, and their general sense of success. And I actually think it's important to be able to support our mental health right now to really generate that momentum and set ourselves up for success when 2026 hits, that we've already got some wins in our belts so that we can really drive and keep that momentum rather than feel like we're starting from zero and making it much more vulnerable for us to end up quote unquote failing and then not feeling like we did a really good job. So in this video, I'm going to talk about some of the main tips that I have for you to really help support your mental well-being during this period, these last couple of months before 2026 starts, so you have that momentum to really continue setting yourself up for success over the next year. Hi, if you're new here, my name is Dr. Parky. I'm a clinical psychologist, and I love talking about all things evidence-based mental health. So if that's what you're interested in, then you're in the right place, and welcome. So tip number one is to identify your values. Understand and ask yourself the question, what is important specifically to me? And not just what society says. Society might say you should be working out every day or, eating all the healthy foods or, being a success in your work and your relationships. But I'm curious about what is important to you. What are your values? Is it related to family? Is it related to health? Is it related to, work or relationships or success? What is important to you? Is it creativity? Identify what your specific values are, what gives you meaning, and then focus on those specific values first. And you can ask yourself, what are the things that keep me going? Maybe it's kind of seeing myself improve in the gym. Maybe it's spending time with friends and family. Maybe it's, a certain pet or a certain job that you do that you are really good at. You help out a lot of people. Identify what are the things that really give you a sense of meaning. And once you've identified your values, you can then, tip number two, set specific and sustainable goals and or actions towards those specific values. So if your goal is to be a bit more fit, then maybe what you can set as a specific and sustainable goal would be to go to the gym 2 or 3 times a week and do a 30-minute workout, or go on a jog a couple times a week, something that you know would set you up for success insofar that it's not something that will make you burn out immediately and then feel like you kind of failed. So set something that's specific to that specific value, as well as sustainable, so that you know that you can kind of like cultivate it and grow with it, over time. So over time, if you want to add an extra workout, you want to make your workouts a little longer, you want to spend more time with friends, like that's awesome. But set something that like this week, I could probably do it once or twice. And then tip number three is to identify specific obstacles that you think might get in the way of you successfully engaging in those goals. So one of those things might be, for example, if you want to go on a jog 3 times a week, might be, well, sometimes when I come back from work, I'm like so exhausted. I get on my couch and all of a sudden I don't want to jog anymore. So what are some ways around that? Maybe when I come back from work, I can immediately put on my joggers, not even sit down, and go for my jog first before I come back and rest. Or I could do it in the morning if that feels like a better fit for me. If you're a morning person, for example, and you have some time. However you think about these specific obstacles, you really want to make sure that you are in some ways coping ahead and thinking ahead so that when they come up, you can kind of address them and set yourself up for success. And sometimes these barriers can be not just behavioral, but cognitive too, like a certain thoughts that make it hard for us to engage. Like, for example, if we miss a certain run, we might be like, what's the point? Like, I didn't do it today anyway, so I might as well not do it for the rest of my week. Or, this is all just a drop in the bucket. It doesn't really address the fundamental problem that I am just unhappy with my life. All of those things, whether valid or not valid, may not be particularly useful in terms of achieving your goals. So if you do notice those thoughts, if you do notice these cognitions that act as barriers to your ability to achieve your goals, then see what you can do to either change the thoughts or come up with a coping statement that feels better. Like if you have a thought, this is all just a drop in the bucket anyway. Well, with enough drops, especially if you're doing this on weeks on end, then, you can fill the whole bucket. Or if you have a thought like, what's the point? Then, certain thoughts like that are just particularly not helpful. So maybe what we can say is, well, I had this thought, but maybe I can just leave it by the wayside for a bit because it could be right, it could be wrong, but like a thought is just a thought. I can just put it away for now because what it's doing is it's acting as a barrier for my ability to engage in my desired actions, which are consistent with my values. As Marcus Aurelius said, just do the right thing, the rest doesn't matter. And then tip number 4 is when you're engaging in these goals, don't make all of them about things that you are, improving your mastery, like working out and doing more work and new projects and, successful in all these kind of like domains. One thing that can be helpful is to make sure that you're also engaging in activities that just genuinely give you joy. Like something that if you plan, you're like, yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. And I'm not thinking about like, oh my gosh, like another workout, another jog, another, time where I'm focusing on my work and projects. Like, can I do something that's intrinsically nourishing for me. Like maybe it's, watching that new movie at the movie theater, going to a new restaurant, trying out a new hobby where you're not meant to, become a master at it. You just want to like play around and be creative. Do the things that are truly nourishing for you so that you don't burn out by the next year. And tip number 5, I want to start with a silly analogy where life is kind of like being on a ship on in the ocean. And sometimes the ocean is clear, the forecast is awesome, and you're going in the right direction. Things are going really, really well. And a lot of the strategies that we talked about are ways to kind of generate that more of that momentum in the clear, sunny waters. On the other hand, there's going to be times where you're violently thrown into the storm. And, as you're kind of hearing me, you might feel invalidated. Like, I'm feeling so bad right now. The best I can do is just keep going. And you're telling me to do all of these like extra things. Like, that's impossible. And if you're having that reaction, what you can do is to say, hey, yeah, my life is really tough right now. And my wins aren't about like doing anything new or, accomplishing 50 different things. It's just surviving and not making my life any worse. So I'm just trying to stay in the stormy seas and bear it and endure it for long enough until I inevitably get back into more of the sunny time. So instead of letting your ship capsize, all you're doing is trying to survive the current times and then getting when you're in the place to then start pursuing those values. And my final tip number 6, is to follow the wisdom in your own heart in terms of what's going to be helpful for your specific mental health. So, I know a little bit about mental health in my profession, in my studies, and in my practice. At the same time, you are the expert of yourself. There's going to be specific, personalized, individual variability that I'm not going to be, familiar with, that I don't know about, that may not make these strategies all fit well for you. So if there's something that just gives you a sense of joy, gives you a sense of overall well-being, to place that into the context of your current life and figure out how you can incorporate just a little bit more of that, whether it's more activity, maybe it's more rest, whether it's kind of more mastery-based activities or more connection-based activities, whatever it is for you, to not just listen to me, but figure out from your sense of being the expert of yourself, what is truly going to be helpful for you. Thanks so much for watching. I hope some of this information was helpful for you to inform a little bit more about how you can support your mental health during this time and make 2026 the best year ever. If you enjoyed what you watched, feel free to subscribe because I'll be continuing to make videos just like this down the road. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.